I'm joined today with the man Proph, one of my 6 standing out in the UK featured artists. What a pleasure to have you in today. You're a conscious rapper and you're standing out in the UK. Could you let the listeners know a little bit about yourself, where you're from and your musical background?
So, my name is Proph. I'm from Thornton Heath. I've been making music since I was about 12 years old, doing performances here and there. Stopped doing music completely at about 20, picked it back up at about 24, 26 years old now, and I've been doing it consistently for about coming up to 2 years now.
That's quite a while you've been doing the music, but what I love about you is your positive messages. I love the way that you are against the gun and knife crime, and I love the fact that your tracks are also positive. Now let's talk about your music. What's your EP that you've got out now?
My EP is called Invisible Guidelines, came out on November the 4th.
Now, Invisible Guidelines, can you let us know what that means?
So Invisible Guidelines is basically the guidelines in which you follow when you come from a certain area, as opposed to the guidelines you should follow, or the guidelines you should follow to get out of a certain area to progress in life.
Now, what are those guidelines? Can you break them down for us, Proph?
Yeah, I mean, the guidelines that we follow, like coming up when you're young and you're growing up in a certain area around certain people, you see lots of things. So the gun violence, the knife violence, the drugs, the money, the jewels. This is the stuff that you chase after. The cars, the guys that you're looking up to that are older than you, when they have all of these nice things, you think that, okay, if they got these nice things in a certain way, I can get these nice things in a certain way. So those are the guidelines you follow. But the guidelines to get out of the area are the ones that we don't follow. Maybe the guidelines that we haven't been given by certain people older than us.
Okay, and what guidelines are those, Proph?
The guidelines to get out of the area, I mean, just kind of like working on your talents, working on what you can do to get out of it without actually committing crimes or doing any sort of stupidness that actually gets you in trouble. The guidelines, again, like, there's people that know the guidelines properly to get out of an area, but instead of like sharing it with a certain community, they don't share it with a certain community. That's why people think that it's normal to go and do silly things to actually try and get out of the area, whereas you just kind of end up not getting out of the area and staying stuck in the area forever.
Yeah, I'll make you right on that one. Now, what would be your solution to what is happening out there in the UK with gun and knife crime?
I mean, I think there's multiple solutions, but I think one of the biggest solutions are the music that people listen to. I think when they listen to certain music and they're constantly hearing certain music, so platforms are pushing out this certain music, if a younger generation are listening to it, they're going to listen to it and they're going to think, okay, this is how I'm going to get money, this is how I'm going to do this is how I'm going to do that. Even the older kids in the area, I think they need to kind of direct the other kids or the younger kids that, listen, maybe I'm doing this, but there's a better way to get out of this. And I think that's basically it.
Now, I was just going to say, you've collaborated with 6 other artists from all over South London, from different areas, and it's to oppose the postcode wars. I think it's fantastic that you came up with the idea, and I also read that you self-funded this as well. How amazing is that? Now, I've been dropping the track on the show alongside other ones of yours. Absolutely love it. I want to see that out there everywhere, and I'm going to push that every way that I can, and I hope the listeners out there, the viewers, are all going to do the same as well. We need to share this song. Now, what's it called again, the song?
The song is called Where You From.
And can you name the other artists that are in it, please?
Of course. Well, firstly, I want to start off with the producer. The producer is KC Sounds.
Oh, he's heavy, I'm telling you that. Yeah, if you haven't listened to the track, you lot need to listen to it and get sharing.
Yeah, I mean, KC Sounds is phenomenal. His productions are phenomenal. He actually did a couple of the songs on my EP as well. More to This Life and Kerry Hilson.
Oh, can I just stop you there? More to This Life. I love that track. Every time, I mean, I'm always blasting that in the whip. I've got that on my show, and that, it just makes you feel like, you know, is there more to this life? And there is, yeah. And we want a better life out there, you know, one where there's not as much violence on the streets. We want to sort that out because it's not right for our youth.
The other artists?
Yeah, the other ones. Yeah.
Alright, so the other artists, starting from the top to the end, I have Nate, I have Geo Grits, who I actually started music with when I was younger. Falcone, I have 2 brothers on the track called The Family, they're amazing. And then there's another guy that I actually went to school with who is dope, his name is Poise. So those are all artists, and obviously myself.
I need to say they are all, including yourself, sick, standing out. Who's the guy who raps to do about the bloodbath? Who's he? When he says about all the bloodbath on the streets, that set of bars there, is just on point, just perfect. You know, that's what's going on out there. Now, I was going to say your intro that you've done. That's what I've seen for the EP. The sounds, that's what I hear day to day, living in Peckham, that's what it's like. We've got the sirens, we've got, police, we've got gunshots. That's what we're living with. That is exactly what we're living with. Now, I read something in one of your many articles. You've been in, do you want to let the viewers know which newspapers you've been in? I've
been in the Metro, Croydon Advertiser and Croydon Guardian, and also East London Online's.
Now, you've had a lot of write-ups, and I'm not surprised. One of the things I remember reading about was that you say we normalise what's happening. We're normalising that in our community, And when I read that, I thought, you know what? We all do. Yeah, another person's been shot. Another youngster's been stabbed. And it's just like, yeah, they're all right, or they're not, or But if you take that to another community, like say somewhere posh, like Chelsea, they're not going to think that's normal. Yeah, they're not going to think that what we're putting up with, and what's going on, all the mums cry, like communities are being destroyed right now, and something needs to be done. And I cannot thank you enough, Prof, for what you're doing. You're actually shining a light out there. You are shining a light. Can I ask you a question? Your name, where did that come from?
Oh, interesting question. So I said I started making music from when I was about 12 years old. When I was in the playground at school, a teacher actually kind of walked past and heard the music which we were rapping. We weren't actually allowed to rap in the playground, but he just stood there and he was just listening, and then he listened to the lyrics and he put me on the stage and he said, listen, just perform in front of everybody. And at that stage I was already performing, but I just didn't really have a name as such. And I performed and I just gave a positive message and told everybody that what's wrong and what's going on, what needs to change, and finished the performance, sit down in my class, and then everyone starts calling me Prophet Kid. So Prof is actually short for Prophet Kid, but I'm not a kid anymore. So when I got older and I started doing music again, I chopped the Kid and just turned it into Prof, because most of my friends just ended up calling me Prof anyway. So that's how I got it.
Now, how apt is that name? For what you're doing, for what, the will of God, I'm putting it out there, you are the man. I can see you doing this as well, okay? And I just want to thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Flash, you get dropped. This ain't here and there, it's non-stop. No radio station when I say that things get on top. Dead man, I'm not. No confetti when parties got popped. Used to strap, now why just got blocks? You might find it exciting, but I find no delight in it, I gotta get